Alright, welcome to Macro Crest, where we focus on fundamentals for directional bias and technicals for entry. And just so you know, I'm a swing trader, so I don't look at just a day or probably 2 days. I look at a couple of days to weeks. So just you know, all the signals I give, and they've been playing out exactly where they're supposed to. But let's go to the chart. Next week we have the 9th February. So that we have Aussie as strength. All right, there was a hike last week which we talked about, and the Aussies are currently the strongest, and it's been the strongest since the beginning of the year. And the inflation is high, the labor data is solid, what you've seen, and the rates is still high. Differential is still much bigger than that of the euros. So the reason why the dollar is actually bullish is because of the Kevin Wash situation, and he's an inflation guy, so he's more focused on inflation. So uh, even though we have Powell currently as the Fed chair, the Wednesday labor data is not going to mean anything until we have the NFP. I mean the inflation data. But if it comes out terribly bad, then dollar weakness is there. That is why I'm keeping it here as a structural bull. Right, CAD is very strong. I believe so. CAD is a primary beneficiary of this Venezuela oil shuffle. So there is a deal India had with Trump. So I think that is $500 billion. So that should work. And the inflation is actually still hot. The labor data is okay. So it came out better than we expected last week. Um, we have NZ, the NZD is just running under the shadow of the Aussie. So if you look at it, inflation is stable, but the labor data was bad, and it's okay. The Swiss franc is a 7, and it's actually doing its job. So that's where it is. We have the euro. Euro, yes, they help, but inflation is quite low. Inflation is low. That's the problem. And we have the yen, which is massively weak. Even their prime minister, is it Takashi, she talked about yen weakness being solid, but then later she tried to um, change it politically. But the market is already pricing in that. And the Tokyo inflation that came out last week was terrible. It came out very soft. So the market is still selling the yen. Then we have the pound. Yes, they held, of course, but it was a dovish hold. It was a very dovish one. Note the labor data is very bad. Inflation, the labor data is falling. Inflation is still high. So they're in a stagflation kind of circle, and that's a problem for the pound. For gold, I told you we are buying gold. Yes, I'm still buying. So the gold here is supposed to go to the downside because of inflation in the dollar and this. But remember the geopolitical crisis here and there. Although it's stabilizing, but I'm just buying gold because I believe technically it's solid. Oil, we can see that, but let's get to the labor data. We have lower house elections on Sunday, and then average cash earnings is quite important. The last one was massively down to 0.5%. So this and the the Tokyo CPI is quite important. So if it's bad, then the yen is still weak. That's it. It can just pull back, but there's nothing much it can do. We have the labor data. Yes, it has been moved to Wednesday. So the market is pricing in the solid data, which is okay, no problem. And then we have GDP for the pound. If this should come out at this zero point 0.1, it's still bad for the pound. Okay, and inflation data for the USD. So the market is pricing in 2.5% already. So that's weakness for the dollar. So let's just look at it that way. On the chart here, I've got my USD index. Remember I talked about price reacting at this point and then we look price going to the downside. So this is the monthly and the weekly is telling me it has to still continue to the downside. Okay, so but there was no the supply here, so it's just reacting from this uh resistance area. And the daily was telling us what there is nothing much about there. It has to go higher. That was what the daily was telling me. So the daily is telling me okay that we are looking at price coming to this point before we short, but I'm already short on. I'm already counting this for a weakness for the dollar, and for that I'm more focused on the. I was focused on this USD Swiss. I mean, sorry, USD card. Why? Because it's bearish. Technically, it's massively bearish. So I'm expecting price to react from here. Yes, price is supposed to come to this supply, but there is this supply here, and this supply was what actually took out this structure point. So I looked at it as the best. Now going to my 4 hours, there was a little, should I say, grab of liquidity or break of structure, whatsoever the case might be. Look at this. So it broke it a little bit. So I expect this bounce here to short. So that's my view for the USD card. That's for weakness. And then Aussie USD, Aussie is the strongest on the table. So if you're looking at the weakness on the USD, it's going to be on that. Now, I talked about this demand holding. Sorry about this network management. Talked about the demand here holding, which I expected price to go lower, but unfortunately, I didn't take this position because I was contemplating. So it bounced twice, and now it's going to the upside. Let's see how next week is going to be. But if it should break this point, this structure here, yes, you know for real that price is supposed to go higher. So that's it for USD, and ZD USD is equivalently the same thing. It's equivalently the same thing. So it bounced off the demand we actually expected. So this is solid. It's still going to the upside. But now, if you're looking at the pound, the USD week strength, let's assume the strength comes in. So I talked about these shorts last week, and I took these shorts to these points, and I saw opportunity to go for longs, internal longs, but it did not take me in. So we'll get there. Now this week closed on the weekly time frame as a doji, I believe. Yes, so it's this kind of a doji. So I believe that there should be a D1 supply to push price down. And going to the D1, you can exactly see that there's a supply there, which looks okay. It looks okay. So this was where I wanted to buy again to this point, but unfortunately it didn't take me in. So if you can look for confirmation to short here, it's cool. Why? Because if you look at this, there was this guy grabbed this liquidity, triggered me here, dropped. So this is a high probability supply zone. So it's either price uses this point as liquidity and then comes up to this. Then we can work with that. And that's it for me against the USD. So I'm more focused on the yen, Aussie strength and the yen weakness. Let's look at this was fantastic throughout last week. This was fantastic. Exactly what I talked about. I said we should see a push, then we pull back to the demand, and then we buy. And this was where I bought last week too. Now there is a D1 demand exactly at this point. Okay, so we have exactly this D1 demand here. So there is a buy there. You can look for H4 zones within. It's the same thing on the NJ. It's the same thing on EJ. So this is actually for yen weakness, right? That's for this for NJ, good trade. Now EJ looks quite good. EJ looks good. Let's look at that. EJ looks good here. There's this demand here. Expect price to continue higher. So that is for the yen weakness. Remember also the euro is weak, right? But I think it's weak against the Aussie and it's weak against NZD and CAD. But this euro Swiss, remember last week I talked about price getting to this zone. I took this position, right? But I closed it from here because it was there's something I saw on the weekly time frame. It's I expect it to still continue lower, but there's something I saw on the weekly. So I think price might go higher to this point before a short. That's why I closed. But on Monday we can just see a push down, a pull back, and I'll add into the shorts. Why? Because there was a dovish hold from the ECB, and for that I'm more focused on EA. I'm already in this EA shorts. Perfect setup. Alright, so last week was a doji. I expected price to drop and then pull back. So there was this drop. Yes, this initial sales here, I missed it. So there was a pullback. This shorts here on Friday. It's what I took in. It took me in fantastic. It was fantastic. So this was one of my best weeks ever. We have the EN. So EN, it's did not come close to this point. So I believe there should be a drop and a pullback, and then we short for EN again. For GA is equivalently the same thing as the EA, but the problem is that I didn't like this price action. So if you see a pullback on the 4 hours, you can take it. I have the pound card now. There is a problem with this. Let me show you. On the weekly, there is a doji here, and this doji it broke this structure. It broke this structure. There was a break of structure here. So I believe there is this supply. It might bounce there, but if I see a lower time frame confirmation, I'll take the price down. Because if you look at it on your 4 daily and the 4 hours, there's this D1 supply there, and on the 4 hours, it is very clear as to this is a structure break. This is our lower structure. So could this be a zone we'd like to short? Probably. So that's due to card strength and pound weakness. The pound Swiss is still the same, almost the same thing. It's going to the downside. So this sells, I did not take it, but I gave it out last week. I did not take this because of I did not place my pending order. I did not place a pending order. So I missed that. There's a doji and we expect price to bounce off the supply. So we can short from there. And that's all I've got for the week. My gold, I'm still in my gold buys. Oil, I talked about oil buys too, but let's look at gold. I told you this is the deal, a monthly demand. Price bounced in. I told you to be sluggish to move to the upside. Um, on the 4 hours, I took a loss though, but I'm in a buy currently. So I bought in here. Price went higher, so I expected this point to hold for some reason. It bounced off, pulled back, took me out. I came back, I saw this, I was like, okay. I went to my 1 hour time frame and then I saw that there was a gap below that demand. That's why price went there. That's just my thinking. And yes, so that's it. This is where that's why I got into this buys here. Stop loss somewhere here. The 0.01 lot size, that was about is it 600 pips stop loss. It was crazy. So this move already is about 1,000 something pips. Man, gold is volatile at this period. And oil, I talked about oil longs. So it was perfect. The buys was perfect, but this is it. It's the perfect buys, but it's pulling back too much. I don't like it. So I'm already out due to this India trade deal with the US. Let's have a safe trading.